Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan, and I'm reporting from beautiful sunny day in the beautiful city of Calais. Behind me here is what was described to me by a French woman who couldn't speak much English as la mairie. So I'm quite think that's where the mayor has his offices, and therefore the city chambers or town hall, whatever they call it here. So, bit of an update. I'm going to cover a wee bit of an update now that I've come back to Calais from what I seen 24 hours ago. There's been some crazy developments. And also to show you the my first appearance on GB News, where Martin Daubrey had me on live around about 3:30 UK time today. So the first thing, in the video I done yesterday, you remember me talking about the river, where there was 3 or 4 tents were there, and I was only 2 minutes in Calais. It was right in the middle of this beautiful city's centre, and I thought, this is bonkers. I thought I'd spend all day trying to find camps or migrant tents, etc., and I found one within 2 minutes, and it blew my mind. So I didn't come here to do that today. I came here to go to a hotel where I'd done the live for GB News. So I was passing it, and guess what? There's even more. Now the one bit in the river, there's two. The river comes down and then it forks, and there's like a triangle of embankments. And where there was 3 tents yesterday, there's now about a dozen. Where there was none but some washing out underneath the bridge, there's now about 3 or 4 tents. And even at the side that I took my recording from yesterday, there's about 3 or 4 tents there. So I tried to film there, and this is what happened. This is the river that I'm talking about, and where that metal fence is, and you'll see there's a lamppost right in the middle of the camera just now, there's a drop of about 8 feet there, down to the sort of river level, and there's 3-4 tents there that were there yesterday, so I popped over to get some footage of it, and there was a group of boys, probably, well, maybe 30, early 40s, looked up, didn't look too pleased that I was there, so I thought it was probably best not to pull my camera out at that point. But this is just what's going on right in the centre of Calais, and it's when I was here yesterday, there was 3 tents in this triangle. Now there's more than a dozen overnight. So you can see there's pros and cons of being out here doing this yourself. One is you've got no backup, so when you get into a sort of iffy situation, you're as well just retreating. There's no point in being a dead Craig Houston. However, what I did manage to film is, as you can see, the bit of the triangles that had 3 or 4 tents yesterday. Look at them. There's 12. About 12. And underneath the bridge, where it was a bit more difficult to get footage, there's 3 or 4. And on the bit I was standing at, there's another 3 or 4. So I went in 24 hours from 3 or 4 tents to a wee mini camp all in itself. And it's kind of bonkers that the place could change that quick. The whole structure of this city. I tried to speak to a resident who didn't speak very much English, but she did say it just comes and goes, sometimes 0, sometimes 20. And I thought that must be horrific to be living in this society. And there was an instant when I was coming through the town centre. There's a big bus terminus just over here, and I was sat at traffic lights with my camera mounted on the windscreen, and I hit record. There was a guy being pestered for cigarettes and what looked like migrants, but I thought he had a child with him, so I've not used the local guy, so I've not used that footage. I thought that, it's just daft things like that. Now, I don't know if the crimes went up or whatever, but the community here, living in this beautiful place, must feel unsettled with this sort of stuff. And the boys that I spoke to yesterday out near the large camps that I found, they were saying they don't see any problems with sort of house burglaries and stuff like that, but the locals just don't go near them, because if you go near, they kind of better just keep them apart. But when you get so much of their countryside overrun by immigrants, that's kind of difficult. But the young boys I spoke to were late teens, early 20s, and they were saying that it can be a bit difficult, so they just don't go near them. And they saw my car, and they said, "You have a nice car, don't stop, don't even stop." So when you're affecting community, I'm very much a community-based sort of guy, and whatever your community is, I believe that, you know, as long as it's not causing anybody else grief, you should be able to enjoy your community. And I kind of I feel sorry for the communities here that are getting affected by this, which is another moving target. You know, yesterday 3 or 4, today over a dozen. And right in the city centre, a beautiful little sort of walkway. You would imagine spending a nice day on a Sunday walking down there with the kids and the bikes and all that sort of stuff. Well, you kind of probably wouldn't if you pretend. And I don't know how many's in a tent, but you know, you've got to think at least 2, maybe as much as 4. So you're talking about up to maybe 50 men, because I didn't see any females staying in close proximity to some really nice residential properties. So it was a bit bonkers. Now, I got a message this morning from Martin Daubrey of GB News. He'd been kind enough somebody had sent him my stuff. Basil on Twitter had sent him my stuff and had sent him my contact details and invited me on to GB News this afternoon, which was great. It was a great experience. I'm humbled and honoured that he let me on it. The experience was fantastic, and the opportunity to reach their audience was gratefully received, because there's not many in the mainstream give folk like me who are basically YouTubers, or I don't call myself a citizen journalist, but some do, and you know, refer to themselves as art podcasters, some even influencers. I don't use that language. I'm just me with a camera. And a lot of mainstream don't give us any time of day. So, you know, I'll be eternally grateful for that opportunity from Martin. And I'll just share with you how that live interview went. I enjoyed it. I hope you do too.
Now, UK and French authorities are braced for an increase in small boat arrivals with largely good weather in the Channel over the coming fortnight. Now, a senior maritime source said a string of so-called red days might easily see several thousand immigrants make the illegal journey, with the number of arrivals expected to reach 20,000 in the next fortnight. Let's now speak with the podcast host and the leader of the Social Democratic Party in Scotland. Craig Houston joins me. He's live in Calais. Welcome to the show, Craig. Pleasure to have your company. You sent me through some astonishing footage earlier on. You've been down there by the illegal migrant camps. You've been in and amongst it. Tell us what you've been seeing.
It's chaos, Martin, absolute chaos. I started off in Dover 2 days ago and seen the amount of coming in through one source, which was the border force picking them up out of the sea. I then noticed that the boats, the ferries are still running, but nobody's talking about stowaways. So I'm curious to find out, and I will be looking more into that. So I then got a ferry over on Wednesday morning, and started driving around Calais, Dunkirk area. And it was just crazy. I arrived in Calais, I went straight to the town centre, and the first thing I found within 2 minutes was a mini camp set up in the middle of a residential area in a lovely canal setting. And I was just astonished. I then drove up towards Dunkirk, and halfway there, I saw a lot of people heading towards an area, and I was curious to find out what was there. And the pictures you're showing just now is what I found when I got there. And then there was no tents there. So I thought, where do these people sleep? So I started driving round about a sort of mile radius from that position there, and I started finding very small camps, 5 to 10 tents each, almost everywhere, scattered over the country. I spoke to police there. I went south of Calais. I spoke to police down there. I asked them where the migrants were, and they said everywhere between Boulogne and Dunkirk, and almost up to the Belgian border. Now, that's about 50 miles as a crow flies. I'm not sure how many miles the way a coast goes. But when you've got these things spread across that massive mileage, it sort of concerns me as to where are they all going. I know where they're all trying to come, and that's to our shores. And it just concerns me about the actual official figures, if they're right. I know the ones coming in through Border Force that are picking up the ocean are right, because I was there when there was people counting them. But I'm just concerned now. My next task is to find out what the level of stowaways and the dinghies that are not catching that are coming under the cover of darkness. So, yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days, Martin, and thank you very much for allowing me this experience.
A pleasure, mate. And Craig, I tell you what, you mentioned something else that sent a chill down my spine. You say you have information that the people smugglers are also using people coming over illegally to ferry drugs into Britain. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a big claim. I spoke to a man who works at the port. I'll not give away his job because he kind of needs his job, but he has been out in the waters. He has seen recovered dinghies, and what he told me was there were scatterings of used condom wrappers on the floor, dozens of them. Now, I kind of think 70 or 80 men on these boats, I don't think they were having a mad party. So what were they doing with these things? The only thing I can think of is using it to conceal something to put into their orifices. So that was, do you know what made me think of this, Martin? There was an interview I saw today in not GB News, sorry, Good Morning. And they were asking this migrant, how did you pay for the trip? Now, some of them tell you quite easily how much and how they paid for it, and some are a bit, well, my parents paid it and I don't really know, and it was transferred from a village, and all these sort of grey answers. I kind of think I now have an option in what's happening here, and they're not paying at all. Some of them might be doing jobs in lieu of payment, and that's another scary thing.
And do you know what? It would absolutely make sense. They know no compassion. They know every depravity to get people to become living drug mules who don't pay a fee for their carriage, and yet they are carrying a cargo heaven knows where inside them. I wonder how routinely and how methodically they are searched when they get to Dover. I would say probably not that much. Craig Houston, it's fascinating footage. Thank you so much for sharing it with us exclusively on GB News. And you've got a great YouTube channel. Get on that. That is Craig Houston, the leader of the Social Democratic Party in Scotland, and a great citizen journalist. Marvellous.
So there we go. It's been an eventful now 3 days. I had a day in Dover. I had 2 days over here. Half a day in Calais yesterday, then the rest of the day up near Dunkirk, in a place called Gravelines, I think is how you pronounce it. Gravelines is how it spells, but Gravelines, I believe, is how you say it. And then, as I say, coming back down here today, a bit bonkers. I also forgot when I was coming back through Gravelines today, the same stretch that I seen most of the footage yesterday, where the big chunk of people were getting some sort of aid. There's about a mile and a half's walk up to a supermarket, and there was continuous all day folk going up and down. I was on that road again, and look what I saw. A guy with a life jacket was walking down the road, and then there was folk behind him with they weren't Sports Direct bags, but you know the type, the big thingy ones. I believe it's Intersport they have over here, and there's one of them down near the supermarket, and there was a few boys with them that were just, looked crammed. So I'm taking it that was also life jackets. So obviously there's a boat heading off for that area pretty soon, if not tonight, maybe tomorrow morning early doors. So it's been a fantastic experience, a harrowing experience, melted my head experience. But I hope you guys have enjoyed it, because I've supported the channel fantastically. And now I just need to try and recoup the expenses doing this trip. So I'm not going to put the begging bowl out, but what I will do is actually, yes, I get monetised from YouTube, and they pay me when people watch adverts. So please hit the like, hit the share, and put some comments below, and that drive into more people's timelines, and hopefully I get enough views to recoup the money I'm out of pocket. That would be quite nice. But if you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell. But the most important thing, unless you're the type of person that wants to come into neighbourhoods and communities like this and have detrimental effect on those communities, and the people who are allowing it to happen and maybe possibly managing it to make it happen, then not you, but everyone else. I don't know what it means in French, but have a great day. Au revoir now.